Good morning and welcome to day 5 of the Arctic adventure. Now, I am just outside of Copenhagen where I spent the night, and today's going to be the day where we finally make our way into Sweden, which means going over the Öresund bridge, I think it's called. Just paid for the ticket, which I think came out to like 55 euros. And once we're in Sweden, we got to check out the hardware store to buy the cabin filters. And I really don't know where we're gonna end up tonight. Now tell me if I'm wrong, but I think this has to be like the, I don't know, how do you call that? The rich horse section, where the millionaires of Copenhagen go on the weekends to ride their horses. And off we go towards Malmö. Here are already the toll cameras, and I did the same thing as yesterday and pre-register. They have a discount if you sign up for the newsletter, you get 10% off, so yeah, that was a no-brainer. I don't even know what they want to send me, like promotion stuff? Come cross the bridge today? I don't know. Oh, so we actually start with the tunnel. That thing is huge. Now, isn't it just crazy that we're like probably a few dozen meters underwater? I don't think I've ever driven underwater, but I already see the artificial island popping up on the map. So apparently this island is completely man-made, and it didn't exist before. I gotta say, the bridge looks pretty impressive as well. Just about approaching the end of the island, and I think we're off over the water now, and I can already feel the wind picking up, but it's nowhere near as bad as yesterday. And we're in Sweden. I wonder if there's a reason why the ships pass through in Sweden and the opening isn't just between the countries. Well, that would probably be like a tax nightmare if you have half your ship in one country. How crazy are those cables? It's probably hard to get through the camera, but obviously they need to hold so much weight. And slowly Malmö is appearing in the back. I can already see the tower of the airport. Do you think there's a plane from Copenhagen to Malmö? So let's see if the green line works again. And it does. Now that was confusing. There was a passport control. Like, I'm not used to passport controls because it's Schengen area. I didn't know if I had to stop. Now we also gotta find a gas station, because pretty weird about Sweden, I think it's the only country in Europe right now where petrol is cheaper than CNG. So the Swedish government reduced the petrol tax by quite a bit, and I think that makes up pretty much all of the 20% difference. So yeah, thanks to the government of Sweden, I guess. And there's already the first IKEA. That's cool. Then the Biltema in the back, that's where we gotta pick up the car parts, or at least hope they have it. That's so much faster than pumping CNG. Also, the gas tank only holds about 22 liters, I guess. So I only get about 250 kilometers, which really sucks. And I'm mixing up gas and petrol now, and CNG, it's confusing. Now, I've never been to a Biltema, but apparently they are super cool, so let's check that out. This is huge. I've never been in a hardware store that's this quiet. Everything looks super clean and organized. I also just checked for a simple toilet, but there's only these big chemical ones, so that's not gonna work. But I think I'm in the car section, so I'm gonna ask if they have a filter. They have like everything, entire exhausts. So here's all the oil filters, and then I think here are all the, Luftfilter. So we just gotta find the fitting one. Now, that was a really cool store, kind of like the IKEA version of a hardware store. Unfortunately, well, we spent about 30 minutes trying to look for it, and the only thing they had was the filter for the right-hand version of this car, which doesn't really make sense because I don't think anyone drives that in Sweden. So we looked through all the 100 fillers they had in stock manually to check if any of them would work dimension-wise, and they just wouldn't. He gave me a name of a different place, and maybe they have it. Now, please wish me luck, it will work out this time. Well, I didn't find a filter. I think I found a pretty good spot for my morning coffee. I mean, in fact, they did have it in stock, but it was 45 euros, and everywhere else online it's like 7 to 8 euros, and I would have paid double easily, but not like factor 5 or 6. I think that's just Kind of ridiculous. Also, I think I figured out where I'm gonna stay tonight. It's about 200 kilometers up north. There's a free little parking spot next to an industrial museum, and apparently it's one of the best in Sweden, according to one Google Maps reviewer. So I think we gotta check that out. And it's pretty close to Jönköping, so tomorrow I might check out the city and go to the IKEA to make use of the Wi-Fi and also maybe have lunch. Because to be honest, I really do like IKEA food. And it's just so peaceful here. There's kind of a salty smell in the air. I say it about every single place I've visited so far, but I definitely gotta be back. Now I came down over here and I want to see if we can go to the little harbor over there and then drive back on the highway, because just like every Swedish village, it just looks so cute. Now what a place to start off our Sweden adventure. I'm really happy to have finally gotten off the highway and made myself onto the kind of country roads of Sweden, and it's just so much nicer here. There are barely any trucks where I can drive behind, but still going only about 80 or 90 already is quite efficient compared to the 110s on the highways. I already had to fill up the van, and the range is only about 200 kilometers, so I got that wrong, at least before using up the reserve. But good news, it's way more efficient than I thought. I only used about 15 liters for 200 kilometers, and I'm really happy with that. Now, one more thing, my apologies to all the Swedish viewers. I completely butchered the pronunciation of the next big city, at least according to my German Google Maps voice. It's supposed to be Jönköping and not Jönköping, so I'm sorry for that episode of cultural appropriation. Pretty much all the gas stations I saw, even on the highway, the prices are about 5 to maximum 10 cents within each other, so you don't really have to think about where to stop. And I mean, compared to Switzerland or Germany, where you sometimes pay premium of like 30 or 40 cents to go to the gas station on the highway. Well, I think we hit the jackpot again. This might be the best spot so far. So back there's the industrial museum, then a little forest, the van, and then check out this lake. I'm just gonna stay here for the rest of my 40 days. Alrighty, so let's check out the museum now. I hope I can film in there. I'm gonna ask, of course. It's so picturesque here. Everything's so cute and pretty. I can't really believe it. Is it okay if I film in here?
Yes, of course.
Perfect.
We'll start up at the office.
Sounds good.
It was this man who started it, John Edward Hultén. He started it in 1874. He was born in 1852. At the age of 19, he moved up to Jönköping. But at 22 years of age, he got a little bit bored, so he moved down here to his family farm. So he became a smith. After a couple of years, he got bored of that because it was very warm. So he thought, yeah, I'll start a foundry instead, because that's not hot at all.
No.
Just 100 degrees. So that's when he built this and started the factory here. When the telephone came, he only wanted to pay for one. And one of the brothers lived in the house next door here. When he was at work, he could flip this switch. Now it rang here. Now it rang at home. Here are hats and jackets and shoes from when they went home. They closed this factory in 1974. The day before Christmas, they just said, now we close the door and never come back. In 1897, Hultén and some other industries went up to Stockholm. They exhibited this. Hultén had two light stands here. This did not fit. Instead, they had it in the entrance. So the first thing the king saw when he entered the exhibition was this. The wheels, they were made of wood. Made this to put in the middle of the wheel for it to last longer. So if you bought 4 of these, you got a little leather pouch to have and collect snails. When you needed to lube the wheel, you screw this loose, put the snail in here. They got a leather pouch for collecting snails on the way. And there were a company called M. Johansson made nettings. I'll show you one finer. This is a fuel filter. The fuel can go through, but not water. The first series-produced Volvo, Volvo Övia. This for the lid for the coolant and the handle for the door. Made these for the series-produced Volvos, first Volvo cars. So here's warm and cold. Yeah. Swedish. These are porcelain. These were a bit exclusive. You could choose what one you wanted. They got a big job from the state to make Sweden standard for the firefighter force. When the Cold War was on its rise, they had to make a bunker out here because if the war came to Sweden, they had to still be able to produce for the firefighting force. Yeah, they made those. A lot of things for horse-drawn carriages and stuff. For beer kegs, they made this with a key, so no one would steal your beer. A lot for boats. I don't know much about boats, but they made a lot. They are for farms to call in the workers when they were out in the fields and stuff, so you could just ring it and the workers hear it and it's time for food. So here is like the prototype stations. These were his machines, no one else were allowed to touch them. So he made prototypes here. There are still orders, or here, and some blueprints. And they did not throw anything away. You can see. To make threads here.
So pretty much anything you needed out of metal, they could produce it.
Yeah. Every machine is on the same motor. I'll show you the turbine. It's 120 years old and it still works. Now it's not much more water in the dam. Otherwise we make all the electricity, like light electricity on the turbine. So here is the main like lathe factory. Every worker had their own stations. Most workers was about 42, I think. You can see where they stood. Very ergonomic.
Yeah, on a concrete slab.
Yeah. It says Harridsbruk, 2-3 kilometers towards a town called Anderstorp, where this is made. This casting iron is also found in the lakes in this region. Here's the copy of the thread. See it moving and cutting the thread. Ska vi köra igång när det ändå är här eller? This lathe is made by himself. So he made a wooden copy, sent it to iron casting company who casted it. Now just have to be polished.
Yeah.
To really see nice finish. So they just sit here and polish. This was also a break room. In the winter it was very cold because it's a big area. In here it's a smaller area and they had oven here too, so it became a lot warmer in here, but it was dusty.
Yeah.
They got very dirty. Food storage they had. These are made of brass. They're pretty heavy.
Oh yeah.
The whole hose is connected back here and the water. And this is called a church. So you put this in the ground. Fast connectors. For cleaning ears. So it's for the medical staff. So this is just on the lathe. It's a nice fit. So yeah. So it's for cleaning the ears. A lot for boats. They had to bike to the train station. It was 15-year-old kids who had to do this when they were not in school. About 30 kilometers to the nearest train station.
Is that still an original label?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Looks original. Let's just call it.
And before you could buy these, made them themselves, like old linens and stuff. More like a modern polishing wax. So in here, When they were on that exhibition in 1897, there were some Germans showing off a new AC generator. It's 120 years old. When we have enough water, it still powers the electricity. So in here, this is a filing factory, we call it. Because they could not polish inside of these, had to file inside. Before there was sandpaper, they took a stick and dipped it in oil in crushed glass, so it was pretty much the same, so they could file. But then the sandpaper came and it was a lot easier. But to get the nice polish inside, they crushed lingonberries, put that on here because it's a bit of an acid, so that made a really nice polishing acid. And they started making like leather belts. It's very popular for the guys who built the railroad. As in the evenings, they were very easy to take off, and they like to fight a lot. So because of these metal parts here, they hurt.
Yeah,
But,
I can imagine.
When he got notice of that they were used for fighting, he removed this metal. But otherwise, they were very popular. He also got a fun thing to make for the Swedish government, and this. When they closed in 1974, there were still, I think, 12 or 14 of these still on order. Other company had to take over and make them. But do you know what it is? It is like a vacuum.
Yeah. Sounds like a pig.
Yeah, almost. It's a toilet for
No
U-boats.
way. That's fantastic.
1974, these were still used in Swedish U-boats. I've never had anyone guess what it is. So, out there, in that red building there is the foundry. In 1914, when the first factory burnt down, that was because they did not check on the foundry too well. So it was in the same building. The whole factory burnt down. These wooden models.
Oh wow.
These are just a couple. There we have a lot more. Here's the lathe also that we turned before, that he made himself. Like model parts they made in brass, because like in this one, the lettering, it hold better if it was in metal. This is for the wheels on American cars, because these were stolen when they were imported to Sweden. Now this sand is too wet, so I can't use it and show you how they made the flasks. And it's fine sand mixed with flour, so the flour works like as a binder of this.
Yeah.
See, it's the same. And you took one part of the casting flask, something for channeling the metal. You put the sand on top and packed it a lot. Sand packing. And then you took this ball and rolled it over. Then you put it here and flipped. Put the other half of the flask on, put the other half of the model, and packed again. Put them together again and put in the foundry when overnight when it was hot, so you get this hard, so it hardened. And these were one use. So the workers who made these flasks, they got paid for every flask they made. So if they couldn't use one flask, they did not get paid. For sharpening candles to make them fit in the candle holders, bicycle clocks. They made the brassing here for ice skates, fishing rod. And the first Volvo I talked about before. You can see the cool lid there. So in that housing in there are turbines.
Yeah.
This is just a wooden channel for the water. Here we can regulate the level of the water. We call them skräddare. They can fly, but they most often don't.
Okay, that's good.
They usually just jump on the water.
This is beautiful here.
And now the water is very low. You see the regular water line here.
Yeah.
Vad sa du? And we call this the model shop. They renovated this in the spring. So here they made all the models I showed you in there.
11,200 modeller kvar.
11,200.
Ja.
So we have 11,200 models. So if there are someone who wants some original parts for something, we still can make them if we have the model. So this is the last model worker. Så den heter Frans
Hultman heter han.
Frans Hultman.
Yeah.
It's called. He was the last worker here in this shop. And it's very special room to be in, I think.
Now I think it goes without saying that those were the best 10 euros I've ever spent. And I think we really did find the best industrial museum. Now I just had my own guide and Jesper was so amazing in explaining everything. And he also allowed me to film and put it up on YouTube. And he actually subscribed to the channel, so thanks again Jesper. And if you all enjoyed watching this, then comment down below, because he's for sure gonna read those. And also it was just so impressive, the amount of stuff they made in the museum and still make. It's just so crazy to keep a factory running for 50 years without actually kind of having it running, if you know what I mean. After the tour I had a fantastic editing session with one of the best views one could imagine, and also cooked up some dinner with the zucchini I got from Jer and Becky, and later on the parking spot filled up with quite a lot more campers. And when I was watching the sunset, a guy walked past with his dog and we were the only two left outside, so we got talking, and yeah, that was so interesting. I think we talked for almost 2 hours until it went completely dark, and he said that there's kind of a rule that the bigger the RV, the earlier the people go inside, and I sure can see that because I really don't have anything to do in here except for fighting the mosquitoes with my electrical UV buzzing light. I have my mosquito deterrent, I've put mosquito spray on me, and yeah, they're still swirling around, so I hope I still get to catch some sleep. Also I found another tick on my head, but this time it didn't stuck his little thingy into me, so yeah, I could just squish him, which was pretty gross because it was like cracking. It was weird. Now tomorrow we're gonna go into Jönköping and I want to go to the IKEA there, and then of course drive further up north, and I've got some interesting spots along the way picked out, and maybe we get to go for a first swim in a lake. So I couldn't have wished for a better start to the Sweden part. Still can't quite believe everything that happened today, and with that I'm gonna wish you a good night and I'll see you tomorrow.